Hey guys, it's Shia, and this is the Nexus 6P. The box is pretty simple. You get your free 3 months of Google Play Music, and a Getting Started packet, along with a SIM removal tool. Google's also included a nice USB Type-A, the normal one, to Type-C cord so you can plug the 6P into your computer. And of course, the sleek Type-C to Type-C cord for the charger, which is supposed to provide about 3 amps of electricity to your device. So let's get that box out of the way and check out the phone itself. So at the time of the filming of this review, I've been using the 6P for 4 days, and I've really fallen in love with this device. I'm going to split up this review into 4 parts: design, hardware, software, and camera. The design of the Nexus 6P is absolutely amazing. It's honestly the nicest looking phone I've ever seen, tied with the HTC One M7 back in the day. The body is made of full aluminum, and yes, the metal body makes it a little heavy at 178 grams. To be honest, my pinky did get a little tired after holding it sometimes, but it wasn't too terrible. It does weigh substantially less than the similarly sized iPhone 6s Plus though. The two main problems people have with the design are the camera hump and the bezels. In person, neither of these look bad to me. It's hard to tell that the top sticks out at all, and you don't notice the top and bottom bezels in person. If anything, the bezels make it less of a strain on your thumb to touch the navigation buttons. The phone is a little big. I can't easily control it with one hand like I could with my LG G3. Nevertheless, the sides provide a reasonable grip on the device. The one complaint I have is the buttons. They all lie on the right side of the device, which has caused me to forget which one was which on multiple occasions. But they're not very tactile either, and the volume buttons even wobble. Now, I'm not going to pretend that it's never dropped a frame, because scrolling has shown some jank, but this is by far the smoothest Android phone I've ever used. Switching between apps has no delay whatsoever, and opening and closing them is fast and smooth. Graphic-intensive games play well, though not as well as the new iPhones. Overall, I'm really impressed by the performance on the Nexus. Everything on this phone just looks great. And on that note, let's take a second to talk about the display. The display is supposed to be the same as the one found on the Galaxy Note 5, but many sources claim it's not as bright or the colors aren't as good. But really all that matters to me is the display looks great. It's an AMOLED display, so the blacks are pitch black, and the saturation is off the charts, and it really blows my mind how amazing this display is. And of course, it's Quad HD, so you're never going to see a pixel no matter how hard you try. But for a full media experience, the display is only half the story. The dual front-facing speakers on the Nexus 6P are on par with the best Android phones on the market, and they're one of the loudest too. Take a listen. Now the Nexus 6P has a few notable hardware omissions, namely the lack of a microSD card slot and wireless charging. But I think it more than makes up for it with the addition of 2 new features. First up, the fingerprint scanner. The fingerprint scanner is located on the back of the device, and I personally found it to be the perfect place to rest my finger. It worked every single time I tried it, even when my hand was wet or dirty, or covered in sugar even. It didn't matter, it just always worked. The fingerprint scanner is also super fast. It takes you directly from screen off to whatever you were last doing on your phone, without having the middleman of the lock screen in the way, like on the iPhone or the Samsung Galaxy S6. Now, the other new feature of the Nexus 6P is fast charging. I'm actually really glad that Google went with a new USB Type-C charging port on the Nexus 6P, because in a few years, that's all that's going to be around. It got me from 0 to 100 in just under 100 minutes, which is pretty impressive given the phone's massive 3450 mAh battery. And you know what? Let's talk about that battery life for a second. Here you can see some screenshots from my last few days with the Nexus 6P. It gets me around 4 to 4.5 hours of screen on time, which is pretty good. By comparison, the LG G3 only got me about 2.5 to 3 hours, so I'm perfectly satisfied. It gets me through a day, no problem. And Doze actually works. I went ahead and left my phone off the charger for 2 nights, and it lost 3 and 4% each night. Keep in mind that's compared to about 20% for phones before the Android M update. Alright, let's take a second to talk about the camera on this thing. So the Nexus 6P comes equipped with a 13 megapixel Sony sensor. Every reviewer so far has been saying things all about how the Nexus 6P has the best camera on a Nexus device ever, but that's really not saying much. How is it compared to like the Samsung Galaxy S6 and the iPhone 6s? In my opinion, I like the photos on the Nexus 6P better than both of those phones. I've tested it directly against them. But for anyone, it's going to be somewhere in the top 5, or in the top 3. Nexus 6P, Samsung Galaxy S6, and Note 5, and iPhone 6s. As you just saw, the camera interface is really smooth and fast, although a little bit simplistic. The photos are really saturated and sharp, and they look just so nice, especially when you put the phone in HDR. The only problem I'd say with the camera is that it kind of overblows the highlights. But in my opinion, it actually looks kind of nice. It gives the sky a punchy, light blue color to it that no other camera really gives. But then again, HDR mode remedies this problem almost 100%. The front-facing camera is also really good. It's about on par with the Samsung Galaxy S6 in terms of clarity and sharpness. In terms of video, the Nexus 6P gives about the same output as it would in photos, but its stabilization is pretty bad, especially since it didn't come with optical image stabilization. Its digital stabilization doesn't do much to account for that. There's actually not a lot for me to say about the software, which is mostly a good thing. The phone doesn't come with many bells and whistles, unlike Samsung's Note series, which has 20 million new features when it comes out of the box. I mean, those are cool and all, but after a week or so, you're not going to be using them. Android M really only comes up with one new feature, which is Google Now on tap, and I honestly don't see it getting anywhere in its current implementation. I try it once in a while because it feels nice, and it sometimes gets what I'm looking for, but it's not providing much use to me. So without any novelty features, the reason I like the software is it just works. It's very Apple-esque, but it looks and feels a lot nicer than iOS in my opinion. Apps open quickly, as I said before, the performance is really fast and smooth, and this is the first Android phone that I'm actually confident can hold up to Android L and M's animation standards. So at the end of the day, you're looking at a phone with not too many bells and whistles. 5 times 5? But does the things that it does very, very well.
The answer is 25.
So at the end of the day, I've been saying almost entirely positive things about this phone. Obviously, I'd recommend it. The question is, do I think it's the best phone out there? The answer? Definitely. The only phone I think comes close is the Galaxy Note 5, because it's better in most hardware respects, better battery life, better camera slightly. But at the end of the day, software is really what counts, differentiating these slight hardware differences. And here, I think vanilla Android is the only way to go. So if you're looking to buy a new phone anytime soon, splurge and get the Nexus 6P. It's reasonably priced at $500, and I promise you won't regret it.